So Tegna and Premion participated in the New Front this year for the first time, and it was a really great coming out for a very large media company. Tegna owns 60 plus television stations in the United States, and we operate a very large local OTT advertising sales organization called Premion, which I'm the head of sales of. And it was really a time for us to talk about local relevancy in the terms of overall omni-channel broadcast investment, but also the importance of streaming. And what we focused on with Premion was our measurability, targetability, reporting. It was an exciting time for Tegna to get out there.
Tell us where the Premion offering is going and some recent developments and a little bit about the roadmap ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So the product roadmap for Premion is really serving local advertising for streaming. So as linear supply has shifted, Tegna several years ago decided to get their advertisers into local streaming in a very big way. So this has been a stair-step growth pattern for Premion over the last 4 or 5 years in particular. And what we're seeing is connected TV is obviously growing in leaps and bounds. And while TV is stabilizing, obviously, Andy, my perspective is that streaming had been accelerating, and the pandemic really accelerated it even further. I think we got probably 3 to 5 years worth of growth in a year's period of time. Premion's business in particular was fantastic in 2020. We saw 40% growth. This year, we're expecting 45 to 50% growth. And I guess like that great group Chicago and Peter Cetera once said, streaming is a hard habit to break. Consumers are into it. We're finding a lot of relevancy for local advertisers in it. We're serving literally hundreds of advertisers in that space. And ad-supported OTT is just continuing to grow with more offerings. We're seeing the major media companies obviously invest in buy fast services. We're seeing a lot of testing with regard to hybrid models, SVOD plus AVOD. And so we're really meeting at the consumer of this great intersection, this great pivot.
So tell us about the monetization strategies, how you're approaching that across screens, including the broadcast and streaming, and where that's going. And then as a follow-up, tell us about what addressability means for you guys.
Yeah, so AVOD in particular, which is where Premion is really focused, is expected to triple by 2025. That's some of the research that we've seen lately. And research tells us that consumers are embracing AVOD and models that help offset those SVOD costs as much as possible. So we're aggregator. We're an aggregator in the marketplace, Andy. We work with premium publishers across the entire ecosystem. So like the Discoveries and the A&Es and the Viacoms, but also those fast services like Tubi and Zumo. And we aggregate supply and we bring it back out to national spot buyers and local buyers. So we're truly there for the local advertiser and to get them involved in this ecosystem in a really important way.
So how does that work? Not to get too deep in the weeds, but in terms of, working in the programmatic landscape, how does that work for Premion?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, Premion does not have a programmatic offering. Premion works on an all direct basis, which gives us some terrific advantages in the marketplace. And we could certainly talk about some of the different buying behaviors that are seen in the OTT space right now. But we do all of our business directly with our advertisers and our agencies. We come in, we create media plans for them that give them very wide distribution across all 210 DMAs with advanced targeting and advanced reporting, and create terrific value propositions and terrific measurability and accountability within that streaming marketplace. We make it easy, Andy. We've got one of the largest sales teams. I think we probably have the largest ad sales team in the local streaming space right now, between Tegna stations and Gray stations and our Premion direct national spot sales teams. So we're doing all of that. We're bringing it all. We're also educating quite a bit with the client, which I think is really important in terms of fueling the growth of addressable TV.
So John, tell us a little bit about the, why local is happening. It seems that there's a big focus on that, not just by the station owners, but by big national companies. And also, what kind of advertisers are you seeing? Are they local advertisers? Are there national advertisers wanting a local footprint? What's happening from the buy side?
Yeah, so our business model and our relationships with all of our premium publishers is permissioned in a very unique way. We are really dedicated to the national spot marketplace. So we're dealing with anyone who's looking at picking up, let's say, 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 DMAs, or that local advertiser who just wants to reach inside their market with streaming and complement their linear programs. I think some interesting things that are happening, Andy, in the space right now are, what's it going to take to fuel this addressable growth? One is we're out right now doing a lot of education with marketers. Marketers are seeing rapid change in the marketplace. There's a lot of complexity and fragmentation. There's a lot of nuance in terms of what you can do inside of the connected TV space. So we're trying to get them an education in terms of what it looks like to buy direct, what it looks like to buy with premium aggregators, programmatic, which you mentioned, and also open exchanges. And there are a lot of different inventory quality, targeting, frequency management, and measurement approaches within each of those that marketers are becoming accustomed to. I would say what I'm most excited about now is kind of the data-driven innovations that we're seeing inside of connected TV and OTT. This is an area that we're focused on as a company, as Tegna, but also as Premion, of course. And just some examples, the automotive space, I mean, absolutely mission critical to use local streaming. They're seeing some degradation in terms of linear supply. So, with a company like Tegna and Premion, you can collaboratively work together to bring all of those impressions together and then bring attribution measures to them. So, one of the things we recently did, Andy, is we struck a partnership with Polk Automotive. Polk brings a ton of information with regard to sales performance and also registration with regard to auto. We're seeing a big pickup in travel. We've done a big attribution deal with Arrivalist. We're also just announcing, we just announced last week a big deal with TV Squared for closed loop attribution. So I think when it comes to the marketer and the advertiser, Andy, we're focused on a bunch of different things. One is, and I think the industry needs to focus on these things. One, education. Two, understanding those supply paths, those critical supply paths in CTV. Outcomes and making sure that you have measurability and reporting in this space that makes sense. And also, I'll give you one more, Andy, hygiene, brand safety, and operating in a fraud-free environment. We're very, very focused on leadership in those areas.